When you start a story, you have one goal: make the audience care. That is the one job of the exposition. If you do it right, you'll be telling better stories.
Out there's a world outside of Yonkers, way out there beyond this hick town, Barnaby. There's a slick town, Barnaby.
Have you seen WALL-E? This movie hooks you in 10 minutes and does it with almost no dialogue. Seriously, there's only like 5 lines of actual dialogue in the first 15 minutes of the film. And yet, you come away wanting to see what happens next. That's a successful exposition. It does it with 3 tools: setting, character, and conflict. So first, consider the setting. It's Earth, but a little different. Earth has been covered in trash. Humanity has left. That's intriguing. I want to know what's going on in this world. I'm not fully hooked, but I'm interested, and that's important. Next, we get WALL-E. We meet this quirky little robot as he does his job of cleaning up trash in the streets, and immediately we learn he's really different than we would have expected. He's creative and quirky, but he's also meticulous, he's cautious, and he's alone. About 8 minutes into the film, we see him watching the characters of Hello Dolly hold hands, and he holds his own hands, sadly. He's alone. So now we have conflict. Simply, conflict is when a character wants something but might not get it. And at their core, all stories are just about conflict. This all happens in the exposition. Remember, exposition is where we meet the main character and we see what their life is like. That part of the story has one job: make us care. Hook us, pull us in, get us to pull the book off the shelf and buy it. This is what the exposition is for. But when it comes to our favorite stories, how do they do that? What is it that makes us care? Let's take a closer look at the 3 elements we've been talking about and see how they work together to frame a story. When we look at the setting, what we see is that it needs to be interesting. As an audience, we're going to invest ourselves and our time in this world, and so we need the world to grab us. Obviously, this can be done different ways, and different people are going to find different worlds interesting. When it comes to your story, be thoughtful about what makes your world interesting. As far as the character goes, we need the audience to want the main character to win. This can be done a lot of ways. The main character could be made to be very likable, to be someone you can identify with, to be someone extraordinary or heroic or an underdog who you can sympathize with. At the end of the day, the audience needs to want them to win. That's why we've seen so many movies where the fate of the Earth is threatened and they just fall flat. We don't care if the character wins. Conflict follows a similar vein. The question is it worth my time to see this conflict resolved? Are the stakes high enough? Do I care enough about the conflict, or is it too shallow? Is it too weak? Is it too vague or undefined? At the end of the day, we need a setting that is interesting, a character we want to win, and a conflict that is worth our time. As you think about your conflict, you may begin to realize that your conflict isn't so easily summarized by the statement, a character wants something and might not get it. Now, that might be a red flag that your character's conflict is undefined, and it could be weakening your story. But that's not to say there isn't room for a more complex narrative. The plot of your story might actually involve the world needing something from your hero that your hero doesn't want to give. That's a wonderful and complex plot that's often about the hero growing to a point where they embrace their destiny, so to speak. Remember, this isn't a formula. There is no cookie-cutter way to tell the perfect story. What we're doing here is we're looking at conventions, that is to say, what's normal. An audience has expectations going into a story. When a reader pulls a book off the shelf, they're expecting the author to do certain things for them. They want to love the characters, they want to love the book, but they've been burned before. This is why we want to know what they are expecting. so that we can give it to them well, or if we choose not to give it to them, we can do it in a way that surprises and delights them. It's like Picasso said, you learn the rules of art, so when you break them like an artist. Think about the movie Slumdog Millionaire. It starts in the middle of the climax. Now, if you haven't seen the movie, it's about a poor Indian boy who is about to win India's version of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and no one understands why he would know all the answers to the questions. It throws you into the middle of the game show and then uses flashbacks to show you how he learned all of these different answers through a very hard life. The entire movie is basically one long climax being interrupted by all the other elements of a story. You see, you don't always need to be obedient to the conventions in your writing, but you do need to be thoughtful. I know that you have picked up a book, read the first chapter, put it back. Somehow it failed to capture you. Some stories do this by dumping way too much information on you and you don't know what to care about. Other stories barely give you any information at all and you don't know why you would care in the first place. We never want this to be said of us, so when you get to work, make the audience care. In the comments below, I want to know one of two things. One, how did your favorite story make you care? Two, if you've got a work in progress, what are you doing to make the audience care?
Here at Lion Country, we believe that storytelling is a major part of what makes us human. We want to help you do it better, so every Saturday morning we're putting out content on the craft of writing. Feel free to subscribe so that you don't miss anything we put out, and until then, grab a pen, grab some paper, and write yourself human.